Coming up on tonight's UAP News Show,
UAP Disclosure Fund announced,
Ross Coulthart's keynote speech,
Dolla Dolla UFO bills, y'all!
and 2 more UFOs caught on cam.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie, and we are back at it again for another episode of UAP Society's weekly UAP and UFO News Show. I am stoked to get started, so without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Greetings, cosmic enthusiasts. It's Justin here. Let's dive right in. Up first, UAP Disclosure Fund announced. Starting off the month of June, the announcement of the UAP Disclosure Fund was made on Twitter by The Good Trouble Show with Matt Ford, who had this to say. I'm pleased to publicly announce my position as Director of Strategy for the UAP Disclosure Fund. It is my distinct pleasure to be a member of our all-star team. And that includes Mr. Lou Elizondo, who's on Board of Directors, Dr. Gary P. Nolan, Board of Directors, Colonel Carl Nell, Board of Directors, Mr. Christopher Mellon, Advisory Board, Mr. Kirk McConnell, Advisory Board, Mr. Juan Fung, Executive Director, Miss Leslie Duckworth, Chief Financial Officer. The UAP Disclosure Fund is a nonpartisan political nonprofit that advocates for greater government transparency regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena. We work to support new UAP legislation, provide legal representation for whistleblowers, promote scientific research, and raise public awareness to better address the UAP issue. Now is the time for you to take action. Let the U.S. senators who corresponded the UAP Disclosure Act of 2024 know that you support including a new version of the UAP Amendment in the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. It's simple to make your voice heard. Visit our website, sign the petition, and join us in our mission for greater government transparency on UAP. The website is https://uapdisclosurefund.org.
Looking at that website, we can see their mission statement and the faces of that all-star team that Lou mentioned in his tweet. They also have a petition that you can sign aimed, quote, to let the U.S. senators who co-sponsored the UAP Disclosure Act of 2024 know that you support including a new version of the UAP amendment in the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, end quote. So make sure that you sign up for that so that you can support these guys. Next, let's check out a video from their brand new YouTube channel to see what it's all about.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
Well, if there's anything, it's rotating.
Last night's 60-minute story on UFO sightings by U.S. Navy pilots is causing a big reaction today.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
My hope is that we will use the U.S. intelligence community to solve this mystery once and for all, to find out where are they coming from, who's behind them, what is the agenda. We have the means and the capability to do that if we set our minds to it as a nation.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
The American public has a right to learn about technologies of unknown origins, non-human intelligence, and unexplainable phenomena.
We're going to uncover the cover-up, and I hope this is just the beginning of many more hearings and more people coming forward about this.
Have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
The best science, isn't it, is when you go against the grain.
Yeah. Eventually, the anomalies and the things that don't fit the picture add up to the point where you can't ignore it anymore. And so that's what has just recently happened. We're watching a Kuhnian moment.
This is huge, isn't it? We're at a huge moment in human history right now.
It's essential we keep working on our proposal to create an independent presidentially appointed review board that can oversee UAP classified records and create a system for releasing them where appropriate to the public.
UFOs, unidentified flying objects, are real. Bill, I think we're beyond that already. The government has already stated for the record that they're real. I'm not telling you that. The United States government is telling you that.
That was such a well put together video. It really brings out the emotion, in the topic, and it really gave me a sense of hope. I don't see how people can still deny, that this is a reality anymore. With all the people that have come out, with everything that everybody is saying, sure, it's just circumstantial evidence at this point, because all the um, firsthand witnesses are, still being held up in, their non-disclosure agreements.
Yeah, those NDAs are really
and
impeding this whole process.
yeah, but to me, this is the greatest question that has ever faced humanity. And yeah, I want disclosure. I want the truth to come out for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
And I'm really, really excited about the UAP Disclosure Fund. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the people that are involved in this organization, I mean, it just goes to show that it's something worth paying attention to. And I mean, man, Gary Nolan is a busy dude. I mean, he's doing all that work at Stanford. He's on the Soul Foundation.
Yep.
Now he's involved in this project.
Yep.
I'm just really excited for him, and I hope he's getting enough sleep because he seems to be spreading himself all over the place. But I commend him for his efforts because it just goes to show how much data there is in this area, and that there are serious people willing to collect and study it and fund these kinds of projects and support whistleblowers and legislation and all the other important things that go along with this.
Right. And, we have to keep pushing for the truth,
For sure.
I mean, sure. My opinion might be biased a little bit, and I admit that. But, I do think that this phenomena is real. I do think that there are most likely some form of NHI that are interacting with humanity, right? And I'm super excited for this topic. But yes, we have to demand the truth. We have to keep asking the tough questions to the people that know the answers, or the people that have the ability to go after those people that have the answers.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm definitely excited about this UAP disclosure fund. And if you're able to, I would highly recommend donating to it.
And I'm going to give myself some homework right now, and you guys need to hold me accountable to this. I want to make a Venn diagram where I compare and contrast the UAP Disclosure Fund and then the New Paradigm Institute. Because as soon as I read their mission statement and saw their video and realized what work they're trying to do, I was like, this is reminding me of Danny Sheehan's project. So I'm curious to see how they're similar, what they have in common, and then how they're different. I haven't done that yet. So if you guys want to help me out, that'd be great. Or just hold me accountable and ask about it later so I don't forget. That'd be cool too.
I'll hold you to it.
Okay. Okay. So as always, the links to those tweets and that website are in the video description box below, along with all the other sources that are going to be featured in this episode. So make sure to check that out. Put a lot of work into that little space. So please make use of it. I beg of you.
Yeah.
Up next, Ross Coulthart's keynote speech. This week, Australian journalist Ross Coulthart gave the keynote speech at a conference held by the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, or SCU, during which he gave his opinion on how the UAP secret started and why it's still sticking around today. He also shares his thoughts on what the American public could and should be doing about it. Ross is not known for mincing words, and he certainly didn't hold back on telling us how he really feels. It's a doozy of a message, and you don't want to miss what he has to say, so let's check that out now.
The best way of keeping a secret is to pretend that there isn't one. And that's what I suspect unelected officials chose to do with what we will call, euphemistically, the program. They very deviously convinced opinion leaders in politics and the media and their shills on social media for years that there is no secret, that everyone's come forward and deluded themselves, or that they're lying, that they've dreamt up a cock and bull story about recovered alien technology, and for reasons best known to themselves, they're destroying their reputations by coming up and promoting a wacky conspiracy theory. Believe me, this is not good for your career. But clearly, the insiders advocating disclosure know something. They're not legally allowed to tell us about it. And even if they want to, they can't. And what most of the commentators also fail to understand is that it's not the general public that has to be convinced. The American public, frankly, at the moment, is mostly irrelevant in this ongoing debate, except for the fact that you all vote. What matters most right now is that members of key oversight committees in Congress and the President and his National Security Committee wake up to the fact that this is real. It's a major public interest issue of concern, and they start doing the job that we entrust them to do. That's the only forum where the full story of the program can legally be investigated and exposed. And that is starting to happen. As we all know, there's a new attempt that's just come out in the last day for a new UAP disclosure bill. It's so important. So much of the evidence that would finally make Congress finally wake up to what's been going on is highly classified. It can't be discussed publicly by those who've been read into it. It's a very, very clever catch-22. And to me, nothing could transform America more or humanity more than the realization that we are not alone. You know, we'd perhaps forget our differences in Ukraine or North Korea or China or Russia and think of ourselves as humans. Imagine what science could achieve, what humanity could achieve if we could deploy the minds of everybody in this room and anybody in the world to achieve technological breakthroughs. My understanding is that what we're doing with this technology, with this retrieved technology, is we're essentially piggybacking on it. We're not reverse engineering it. We're retrofitting it in a way that allows us to use it. I won't go any further than that. I know a lot about it. And by the way, if anybody ever did decide to push me under a bus, believe me, every name of every person that I've been told, I haven't been able to verify it, so I can't publish it. Everything I know will be published by multiple people who I've sent copies of what I have all around the world. I'm mindful of the fact that I do know people have been murdered. And that's a big call, I know. People have been murdered to protect this secret. And so coming back to answer your question, this is the biggest secret in human history. And I don't give a toot whether people call me a conspiracy theorist. On a level of probability, I'm pretty bloody sure it's true. And what they're doing is they're misusing the laws of your country to hinder what is a constitutional right by Congress to oversight every arm of government. Now, if Americans don't care about that, then you can go another 60 years in ignorance.
No, thank you.
It's up to you. It's as simple as that. This is an issue that goes to the absolute heart of what you've all been told, you know, your country is great. That's a load of steaming bullshit right now. You're failing. And you're failing because there's this monstrous secret that's being perpetuated. Trillions of dollars, I suspect, have been diverted from your budgets. You can't even fix your roads. What the hell? Why don't you vote these pricks out and get people in who are going to make a change?
So dang, Ross, like, tell us how you really feel. Don't hold back. Don't be shy about it. You know? He straight up called us out, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Sheesh. I thought it was really interesting that he gave another one of those, like, if I show up dead, this is what's going to happen kind of statements, just like Lou Elizondo recently made. And I mean, even Dr. Stephen Greer has made that same statement in the past, where he's like, if I show up dead, I've already got a plan that all my stuff's going to be released. And it's just so crazy that...
The same thing with Bob Lazar.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's wild that people have to, like, throw that out there that, like, yo, if I show up not alive anymore, you know, like...
Right.
It wasn't me, first of all, and second of all, you know, all the stuff that I've been holding back on is going to be thrown out there for the wolves. So
well, it's insurance.
Be prepared.
It's insurance, you know.
Of course,
yeah,
and it's.
You know?
I just think it's wild that they feel that they need that insurance.
I think it's wild that people have been murdered to keep this secret. You know, a secret.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely
that's what I think is wild. You know, it's to me, it's shitty that they have to do that in the first place, right?
Of course.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, man, that sucks. Like, why can't we just be told the truth, and all these people, get let off the hook, so to speak.
Hmm.
It's also really curious as to, he said that we are sort of piggybacking off of the technology, right?
I've never heard
And
anybody say that before, to be honest.
I mean, that
Not in those exact kind of
right.
words.
So what comes to my mind is if these technologies or craft are controlled by some form of consciousness or brainwaves, right? Suppose that there's a device that can read, the brainwaves of somebody in real time, and it can, it understands what that being is thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and reacts to whatever that person wants the vehicle to do or object to do. Just entertain this thought, right?
Okay.
Even if you don't fully, believe it or whatever, just entertain me for a second. All right. So if these craft do operate off of some form of consciousness, which has been speculated, and uh, you need a certain type of person, that has these sort of innate abilities unlocked
Mm-hmm.
to operate the craft, what if we built a piece of technology that could simulate, you know, a thought pattern brainwave, so to speak, that could then be interpolated by the craft to operate however, somebody wants it to operate, right? Like suppose we put like a joystick, and we have whatever inputs of that joystick converted over into like a brainwave type of function,
Mm-hmm.
that then the craft picks up on and reacts to.
Okay.
That's what comes to my mind when he said that we are piggybacking, so to speak.
Okay.
Now that is in the simplest, most layman terms that I can put it. But,
Gotcha.
so that's what comes to my mind when I hear Ross say that. What do you
Okay.
guys think? What are your thoughts on Ross's speech? Do you agree with what he had to say, or did he miss the mark? What do you think would happen if the government had to admit its decades-long lie?
Whew.
Yeah. Do you agree with Ross's assessment of how America is currently doing? Let us know down in the comment section below. And speaking about the government and Congress, let's roll right into the next story.
Dolla Dolla UFO bills, y'all. In a new video called 6 New UFO Bills in U.S. Congress Are Entering Negotiations Now, Lester Nair lets us know about what Congress has up their sleeve in terms of UFO transparency. He goes into great detail of each bill, giving us their backstory, who proposed them, and what his expectations are for their longevity. I put a clip together of the highlights of that conversation, and I would like to show that to you guys now.
Over the last 5 years, the U.S. Congress has released one or multiple pieces of UFO-related legislation, and 2024 is no different, as we've now seen 6 amendments related to the UFO and UAP subject currently being proposed within Congress, with a few more expected to come in the coming months. Let's do a quick overview of those 6 amendments that are currently being proposed by the U.S. Congress, both in the House and in the Senate. And first, we will start with the Safe Airspace for Americans bill, which was originally proposed by Representatives Garcia from California and Grothman from Wisconsin in order to enable a reporting mechanism for civilian pilots to report their encounters. The Safe Airspace for Americans Act would direct the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, to develop and implement clear procedures for the uniform reporting and investigation of UAP sightings by both civilian, key point, and military aviation personnel. The act would establish a centralized database for the collection and analysis of UAP incident reports, enabling the FAA and other relevant agencies to identify pattern, assess risks, and develop appropriate mitigation strategies. Well, let's move on to number 2. On May 17th, we saw the introduction of the UAP Transparency Act, which was originally introduced by Representative Tim Burchett of Tennessee, alongside 3 co-sponsors, Representative Jared Moskowitz of Florida, Representative Anna Paulina Luna, also of Florida, and Representative Eric Burleson of Missouri. The bill is very unlikely to get added as an amendment to the NDAA. It's only 1 page, and the goal for the bill would be to force the president and other federal agencies to declassify within 270 days any records they have related to UAP, and then for reporting to begin on the progress on that process after a year and then quarterly afterwards. Let's move on to number 3. Now, the next amendment being proposed again by Representative Garcia, who was one of the co-sponsors for the Safe Airspace for Americans bill, is a little bit inside baseball related to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. Now, this amendment for Garcia related to AARO is providing additional or increased access specifically to special access, controlled access programs, and programs that are defined under Title 50 instead of Title 10. Title 10 being DoD-related programs, Department of Defense, Title 50 being intelligence community programs like the CIA. The argument has been that AARO has not been able to access these deeper compartmented programs, so this amendment looks to increase the ability for AARO to access these programs. So the goal with this would be to help increase that access such that they can get better visibility into these alleged UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs. Now, one of the most interesting amendments we've seen proposed so far this year is actually a remix of an amendment we saw at the end of last year that was a major deal, the UAP Disclosure Act. Now, if you didn't follow the progress last year, the Senate introduced a version of this bill that was 63 pages that created a 9-person presidentially appointed review board that had to be Senate confirmed, that would have subpoena power and the ability to provide whistleblowers effectively an amnesty program with allegations that both the executive branch of the federal government as well as private corporate contractors are in possession not only of technology of non-human origin, but also biological material of non-human origin. And it defined a controlled disclosure plan by which the US government would bring to the public the reality of that information. This version proposed by Robert Garcia is only slightly different in a couple of areas. It removed some of the initial introduction section. It kept the review board. It kept the eminent domain clause. So this is going to be a real big one to watch as we go into the NDAA negotiations. But we have 2 more smaller pieces of legislation that are in the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2025. But let's take a look at the 2 amendments that are relevant in the IAA for this year. Now, in the IAA, there are actually 3 UAP amendments, one of which is a very small technical language change that is not super relevant for this conversation. But in section 1001, there is a new addition to require the Government Accountability Office to do an audit and review of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, the Pentagon's UFO office. The idea that this is being proposed as an amendment is interesting because having a Government Accountability Office review for a federal agency is not unusual. What is unusual or less common is to see it explicitly stated in legislation, which reflects the higher priority that members of Congress are giving to that review. AARO has come under a lot of scrutiny, so it's not surprising to see this Government Accountability Office review for their work. Now, the second amendment in the IAA, again, a little bit inside baseball, but important. It is an extension of the prevention of the use of funds by the DoD for any programs related to UAP. So last year, we had this pass in the FY24 NDAA where all UAP programs would stop receiving funding if they were unreported to Congress. Again, from whistleblowers like David Grush who've come forward, this has been their allegation, is that there is money that Congress is allocating to the DoD that is being misappropriated and used towards these UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs illegally without reporting it to Congress. So last year, they created the ban of funding going to unreported UAP programs, and that is now being extended for an additional year because last year's version only had that ban going for 1 year. So this is just a slight extension of that. Again, these are only proposed pieces of legislation. So the next couple of months are going to be huge advocacy pushes to make sure that both the House and Senate pass all of these amendments so that we can move forward in understanding what is really the truth behind the UFO phenomenon, at least as it pertains to the government's understanding of the issue.
So I really like Lester Nair. You know, he's a pretty amazing human being. He's very smart.
Super well spoken.
And yeah, just all around, I'm a fan of him.
Same. It's funny, a little inside joke for me. Every time I listen to one of his videos, it's like there's 3 new words that I have to look up the meaning for because he's always throwing these like really big words out there that I'm like, okay, wait, haven't heard that one before. Let me Google it real quick.
All right. So in summary, we have the following UFO bills entering congressional negotiations.
Right.
We have the Safe Aerospace for Americans Act, the UAP Transparency Act, Aero Classified Access, UAP Disclosure Act of 2024, GAO review of Aero, banning UAP funding extension.
I feel like this is a perfect time to reiterate the importance and significance of organizations like the UAP Disclosure Fund and the New Paradigm Institute that provide support and funding to those trying to pass these kinds of bills.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of legislation going through that's all worth our while, guys. Like, we're really going to have to pay attention to all these. I think an audit of Aero is fucking epically, hilariously, ironically great. Can't wait to see how that turns out. Holy shit, right? And then I also really appreciate this extension of the banning of UAP funding because last time I checked, they've never passed an audit, and we have $2.3 billion or trillion dollars missing. Which one is it?
I think trillion.
So yeah, there's a bunch of money missing, and I'm glad that they are putting this extension through. So maybe, hopefully, we can continue to.
Yeah, so the new NDAA, right? I still think that the biggest hurdle is going to be the eminent domain clause.
Yeah,
I think
everybody's hung up on eminent domain. I know, and like we said last show, like we see both sides of the argument, so it's kind of like.
I think it's going to be. I think in order for it to get passed, it's going to need to be heavily nuanced, in such a way that, let's say like the guys at Skinwalker Ranch, if they do discover something on their property, it needs to be written in such a way that those people get to retain that property. Maybe it needs to be spelled out that companies or corporations that were given technology, so many years ago, that they're the only ones that are applicable to this eminent domain clause. Maybe that needs to be thrown in there. I don't know.
I wonder how that would be played out.
I think that would have a better chance of passing.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Right, because then they wouldn't get so much
of it like that
pushback
before.
from, some of these other smaller people.
Right. Very interesting. I don't know. Which of these bills do you guys think has the most potential, and which ones do you think are going to flop? Do you think this UAP Disclosure Act will get gutted like its predecessor? I know I certainly hope not. Have you signed any petitions or sent any letters of support to your local Congress? I know that can definitely go a long way. Just a little bit of support and encouragement can really boost them to keep going, put some fuel under their butt to keep them going. So let us know in the comment section below what you think of those questions.
Yeah, so I'm reminded of last year.
It was gutted.
When
everybody was so upset.
Well, okay, remember when last year when Jeremy Corbell asked everybody to start calling their senators, and this one Senate office, I forgot who it was, but so many people called them, that they literally said that they had not ever can remember a time when they had so many calls, and it was over this issue.
Something like that is memorable, and something like that
we need to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. And the new UAP Transparency Act website has a petition on there already filled out, ready to go. You could just fill in a couple little things and you can send that. Also, New Paradigm Institute, they have something similar on their website. So they really take the thinking out of it. You just copy pasta, stick your name on it, slap that bad boy out there, and, hope it does some good. And I really think it does because like Justin just said, they were like, holy crap, we have never gotten this many calls about one particular topic before. And stuff like that will really, really, really make a difference.
Yeah, I think it does. So we should definitely, keep at it, and definitely call your congressperson or your senator. All these little things add up to make a big difference, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So,
totally agree.
And last but not least, 2 more UFOs caught on cam. Last week, we covered a story called Another UFO Seen in New York, where TMZ caught a UFO on cam during a Blue Angels Air show in Long Island. Well, this week, they are back at it again with another UFO video. The only information in their video description of this event says, UFOs are seemingly all around us these days. And the latest sighting of one of these unidentified saucers occurred in Nevada on Friday. Of all places, Nevada.
I know, I know. In addition to that, Skyfire News tweeted this: UFO seen in remote indigenous Brazilian village. Now, both of these events came with receipts, so let's look at those together.
Look at the glow around it. That's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing one.
Is this the Nevada one?
Yeah.
Drop down right now. Look how it looks.
Did you hear what they said? What if it drops down and sucks us all up?
Oh, do you see that? Yo.
So that looks like maybe a star in the background.
Yeah.
Look, there's a plane right there. Literally. Why does it look like that?
Now, if this were a spacecraft, the star would be moving in one direction, right? Like it would be moving in the same direction, but instead it kind of looked like it went down in relation to that star.
Shut up, fool. It's gone. Now it looks like a star. Oh my god. It's gone. It's gone. Oh my god.
Now that looks like it has cool light situation happening.
Yeah, that might be a artifact of the camera because they're zoomed in so closely.
Okay, McWest.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying that the color flashing might be because of that.
I'm just breaking your jaw.
That's very interesting, though.
Yep.
Wow. So those are two pretty remarkable videos.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think?
I
of
think
those?
that TMZ is on a roll, man. This is 2 UFO videos in 2 weeks. Like, so I don't know. I just see a trend happening, and I'm excited. I mean, there's all kind of things going on in our skies, and all you gotta do is look up.
Well,
If you look up, you'll see it.
according to Pavel Ibarra, if
Mhm.
you guys don't know who he is, I definitely recommend you check him out.
Shout out Pavel.
Yep. And he's on Christian Harloff a lot, and he talks to Patrick from Vetted quite frequently.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, according to Pavel, I want to say maybe last week sometime, it seemed like there was an uptick in sightings.
And I think that's going to continue to happen.
I think that's where these
I really
videos
do.
come from, was from that night. It was one night in particular that he had mentioned.
Really?
Okay.
Okay.
I forgot the night, so you have to excuse me, but there was a night last week where he said that there was an uptick in sightings with a lot of people reporting, seeing strange lights in the sky, and for those 2 videos, I mean, yeah, I didn't see a steadily repeated blinking lights, right? I didn't see a beacon light. I didn't see a nav strobe light.
So ruling out a plane.
Right, exactly. If they were satellites, they would have kept going in the same direction at one constant speed, but the first video from Las Vegas looked like it moved across the screen and then it started like going down. So it wasn't in just like a straight line trajectory.
Yeah, if you use that star as like a vantage point, so to speak,
Right.
you could tell that it changes its trajectory. It starts like going across the sky like this, and it's like, oop, I'm going to go this way, and then it just boop, fades out, and it's gone.
So, what is that, right? That's the big question. And that's what we need more data on.
Mm-hmm.
One of those ways to get the more data is Sky 360, or, right, we could build our own observation systems and deploy them. I think Sky 360 is starting to get closer to having like their beta build, so to speak. I think they're still in alpha now, but the beta build is getting closer, I believe. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited.
I think I want to expand on your, what are they, and expand that thought a little bit to forget what are they, but who are they?
Yeah.
Who's manning these things?
Right.
Like, is it all the same race, all the same species? Is it a bunch of different ones? Is it a conglomeration of a bunch of guys, like a Galactic Federation scenario? You know, I don't know. What are your thoughts on these UFO sightings? Do you think that we're going to continue seeing them on a weekly basis like we have been lately? Why do you think they've been seen so often recently? Have you ever seen one yourself and caught it on cam? If so, make sure to join the UAP Society Discord server where you can share them with the rest of the community and let us know what you think. An invite link to the server can be found in the video description box below.
Yep, we highly recommend that you join.
For sure.
Yeah, it's an awesome community with lots of like-minded people.
And that concludes this week's UAP Society's weekly UAP and UFO news show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and while you're here, please do us a favor and smash that like button, click subscribe, ring the little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word. Let's raise the collective consciousness together in unity. Much love, peace, and namaste.